It is Thursday, October 30th, and you are watching the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. Happy Halloween Eve to everybody. Hopefully you're all staying dry because it is bad out there. But as promised, I am in my Jakub Dobeš costume today. Snake, what are you dressed as? Oh, very nice. Very nice. You're dressed as a scout.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, folks, we're bringing you the Sick Podcast again today, and we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to continue our topic from last week where we talked about Swedish players and their ideal development to the NHL. Now, we're going to talk about Finnish players today in Liiga and KHL players in Russia. And I think there's a certain Habs prospect in the KHL that's not doing too bad. So I guess we'll talk about him as well. Later on, we'll get to Snake's hot take. And of course, we're going to go digging through our mailbag. So it's going to be a fun show. And it all starts right here, right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Trust the process. The sickest NHL prospect podcast with Snake and Shayne.
With the 5th overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
It's gonna be sick.
That's right, producer Shayne, a.k.a. today, Jakub Dobeš, 6-0, baby, okay? Joined as always by my great co-host, Simon the Snake. Snake, how we feeling today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, but really, I don't know which Russian Habs prospect you're talking about.
There's a lot.
You should have texted me before.
Oh, yeah, no, he is... I mean, you're a big fan of his, and I think a lot of Habs fans are becoming big fans of his. Yeah. We'll get to that in a sec. But Snake, last week's discussion I thought was really interesting, and I think, the viewers also appreciated it as much as I did. But we talked about Swedish forwards specifically who are now in the NHL and the path that they took to going to the NHL and becoming impact forwards. That's a key point in this discussion.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do the same exercise first with Finnish players who played in Liiga. Now, Liiga, we know, is similar to the SHL in the sense that it's more of a defensive league, right? Not that many goals scored. It's kind of hard to evaluate players, bigger ice. What have you compiled? What kind of data do you have for us regarding Finnish players?
Look at Zavorovsky, who played in Liiga in his draft year.
Yeah.
It was so hard to evaluate. I had him number 1 at the end of the year before, pre-draft. But let's just say it was easier to evaluate Logan Cooley and Connor Gauthier. But at some point you have to try and project, and I projected, Slav at 1. We'll see what happens. So far this year, I think he's playing up to those standards.
Oh yeah.
Now with the Finnish players, I did the same thing as last week. For those who didn't watch the show with the Swedish guys, I took forwards born in Finland or played minor hockey in Finland, whatever, who scored more than 45 points in the NHL last year, which, about 160 some players scored 45 points, which means 5 players per team. So we'll call them impact players.
Yep.
So I listed 7 guys amongst in that category. And I'm going to tell you how old they were when they first came to America, either to play junior hockey, American Hockey League, or NHL hockey. First of all, Finnish players, just like Swedish players, don't often come to the CHL to play junior hockey. And those who do are not necessarily impact players. So the 7 guys that I have listed did not play junior hockey in Canada. But they arrived at some point in North America, and that's the point of the exercise. Mikko Rantanen, 19 years old. Sebastian Aho, 19 years old. Sasha Barkov, 18 years old. Michael Granlund, 20 years old. Tuvo Teravainen, 20 years old. Anton Lundell, 20 years old, and Rupe Hintz, 21.
Oh.
Came to the AHL. So again, only one player stayed in Liiga after the age of 19. And the last season that Rupe Hintz played in Finland was at age 20. So again, my point is, when you see these 21, 22, 23-year-old players still playing in Liiga, drafted by the NHL, sometimes 4th, 5th, 6th round picks, and we get all excited because they get 60 points in Liiga or whatever. And we're, fans of the teams who drafted them are very excited to see them come to America. Well, chances are they're not going to become impact players. And that was the point of the exercise with Sweden last year. I'm doing it again. These players leave Sweden and Finland very early in their career to come to America when they are impact players. And in terms of development, I think that's the best path. I'd rather see a 19-year-old like Rantanen come to the American Hockey League. He dominated in his first season. He played a few games in Colorado at the beginning, but he was totally lost. I mean, the guy had no business being in the NHL. They sent him back to the farm team at the time, I think, was San Antonio. He really did well, I think over a point per game. And then the year after, he was brought to Colorado. He had a decent season. And then the year after, he took off.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's a better development path than having stayed in Liiga at age 19 and 20.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the point that I'm trying to make with this. But with Russia and the KHL, it's a slightly different story.
So before we move on to the KHL, obviously a large contingent of Montreal Canadiens fans watch this show. And of course are thinking, well, there's a Habs prospect playing in Liiga by the name of Atos Koivu.
Yeah.
You're not really high on his upside. If he comes to the AHL next season, do you think that's kind of a good thing for his development, or you think maybe he should actually stay an extra year in Liiga?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. First of all, as listeners probably know, I don't see Atos Koivu as a future NHL player. Okay, mm-hmm. But that's my prediction. I might be wrong one day, but at some point you have to call the shots.
Yeah.
I'm trained as a scout. So as a scout, it's yes or no. I mean, you can't just say, well, maybe we'll see in 2-3 years. Okay, well, that's how I've always done my shows. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But I love doing it that way instead of always being on the fence about players. Mm-hmm. And say, well, when he's 23, we'll see, we'll talk about it. No, right now I'm saying no. However, you asked me a very interesting question. Would it be good for him to come to Laval next year? Yes. Okay, he doesn't have great stats in Liiga right now, but that's okay. I mean, it's a league that's very defensive. It's a league that obviously, coaches want to win, and the way they think they're going to win is by playing veterans. Look at the list of Liiga players who the top scorers. Most of them, we don't know them. Look at the names. I mean, go on HockeyDB. Look at the names. Most of them we don't know. Some of them had a cup of coffee in the AHL or the NHL. So I don't think he's placed in the right situation to progress. So if I were the Koivu team, his agent and his family and his Saku came to America at the age of 20. He was a much better player, but still. I think he knows how it works. So if the Habs are interested in signing him, I would bring him to Laval. Now, is he ready for Laval? I think that's for Kent Hughes, Gorton, and his scouts to evaluate if he's ready for Laval. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's ready for Laval or not. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the player, but in order to know what you have, well, bring him along and we'll see. And if it doesn't work out, he can always go back to Finland and take it from there. Because I know that a lot of Swedish and Finnish players, they have this kind of clause that if they don't make the NHL, right, they don't want to play in the American Hockey League. Well, you know what? Too bad for them.
Yeah, they're missing out.
They're really missing out on getting familiar with the North American style of play. Mm-hmm. And I think that Koivu is a tough kid. So I think he in that sense, he could play in North America. Maybe not this year, but next year. Look, he's a third-round pick. If he doesn't make it, it's not the end of the world. But the family name is very dear to a lot of fans in Montreal. And I understand, Saku was a very good player. He was the captain. And he went through very tough times in Montreal, not only because of his illness, but because of the fact that the Habs were a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was thrown to be a number one center when he was not, and he was blamed for not being a 100-point player. Look, he was not a number one center. He was a number two. So you put him in a situation now where he has Suzuki with him. Let's say you were 30 years younger and he played with the Habs right now. He would be the perfect fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine Saku with Demidov.
Oh, my goodness.
And no one would be on his case if he didn't get. And the thing with Saku, I remember you can't remember. You were born in 2000, but Saku, when he arrived in North America in his first or second season, there was a time, I think in November, where he was the top scorer in the NHL, and he got injured. And when he came back from the injury, he was never the same player. I would say 100%. He was never 100%. Because at some point, he was the top scorer in the NHL. Older fans might remember. Fans, were like 40 years old plus. They will remember this thing. It was in the mid-90s.
Wow.
And at the time, the Habs had Vincent Dafous at center. And they also had Pierre Turgeon.
Okay.
I've never seen them so stacked at center because Koivu had become the number 3 center, but he was so good. He was racking up points and points and points. And at some point, things happened. They traded Turgeon because he was not the type of player that the coach liked. I think, Mario Tremblay was the coach. And then the Habs became a mess afterwards. So anyway, big parentheses just to say that, Atos Koivu right now, I think should move to America. Yeah,
I think that's it's a good development path for him if he has any hopes of making it to the NHL one day. But it's really interesting about the Liiga, right? It's obviously not a development league like you mentioned, Snake. It's a winning league. The coaches want to play the veterans, the guys that are going to help them win, instead of trying to develop the younger players. Whereas in the AHL, it's completely different. The AHL is actually sort of a development league. And,
well, there are rules. There are rules about the number of veterans you can dress. Yeah. Also, most teams now are owned by the big club.
Exactly.
When the American Hockey League was owned independently, by independent owners, mostly, they were playing tons of veterans. I remember in the 80s, I had a season ticket to the Fredericton Express, which was the Habs and the Canucks farm team. They were sharing a farm team. At the time, many teams were sharing a farm team. And it was locally owned. And their idea was to bring maritime players from the Maritimes who were like 27, 28, because they were locals and they sold tickets. But when the Nordiques or the Canucks had a prospect to send over there to develop, forget it. The guy was playing on the fourth line.
Yeah.
And I know the Hershey Bears, they still operate that way. They're independently owned. I know in Colorado, the Avalanche doesn't own the team. And it's been problematic because if you look at the Avalanche, they're a great team, but they haven't developed young players in a long, long time. And at some point, it's going to catch up to them. Once McCarr and McKinnon are done, it could be a long way back, the cycle, of being in last place for 4 or 5 years. But I think the Avs would have been stronger and over the last few years if they had been able to develop players through the farm team, but they don't own the farm team. So when the Habs bought the team, brought it to Laval, I mean, that was the thing.
Game changer.
Yeah, it was a game changer because then you can follow prospects. You can send them up and down, just a short metro ride. So, and most teams are doing this now, San Jose, Calgary, Vancouver with Abbotsford, which is not very far, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. And we'll keep tabs on Mr. Koivu and any other Habs prospect who goes through the Liiga. But now I think for the meat of this show is going to be really on the KHL because it is such a weird league. I mean, there's so many factors at play in Russia. It's contracts, right? Sometimes it's even politics. There's just so many external and internal factors that kind of dictate where a player goes, how much he plays, if he stays, if he can go. It's so weird. We've seen players coming out of Russia at like 23, 24 years old into the NHL and dominate. And the opposite is true as well. So have you found any sort of, I guess, indicator or linear path for Russian players coming out of the KHL into the NHL?
Well, first of all, I think it's like a reality show. I mean, with so many things happening. I mean, look at Mishkov, who was supposed to be under contract for 3 years. After 1 year, is gone.
Yeah.
And then I remember there were three guys. It was the top line in Russia at the time. Maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. Shipashev, Gusev, and Dadonov.
Oh, boy.
They were the top line in Russia.
Yeah.
Shipashev was the best player. Gusev was the second best. And Dadonov was the third best. Well, guess what? They all came to the NHL, and it was the other way around. Dadonov had the best career.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. I think he had some decent seasons. Gusev was not great. And Shipashev played 3 games. And he went back. I think it was a work ethic issue or problem of adapting to. By the way, it was Vegas. It was during Vegas's first year. They took a flyer on him. They signed him. He was the top player in Russia. And he played 3 games. So that's why it's so hard to judge people, players from the KHL. So hard to scout. So you're trying to see things, and we're going to talk about a Habs prospect very soon. You're trying to see what it is in their game that can be transposed to the NHL. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And you're going to see with the list of names, I'm going to tell you a little bit, each of them, where they came from and stuff, and how hard it would have been to predict certain things. Mm-hmm. So doing the same exercise with KHL players, there were 12 forwards from Russia who scored more than 45 points last year.
Okay.
I'm going to get 2 of them out of the way, Ovechkin and Malkin.
Yeah.
They both came to America at age 20. At the time, the KHL did not exist. They really dominated junior hockey tournaments, especially Ovechkin. Mm-hmm. So let's get them out of the way. That's 20 years ago. Let's go with more modern players. It's weird to say, but Ovechkin has gray hair like mine. So I know. Is he 40 now? I think he just turned 40.
I think so.
Yeah. Malkin is 39. Yeah. So doing well, Malkin, by the way. So here are those 10 players. Okay. Let's see what happened to them. Nikita Kucherov. He came to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League at age 19. He had played 26 games in the KHL. He was a second-round pick. So basically, that's a guy who left Russia very early. Andrei Zvetnikov. Well, Zvetnikov came to the USHL at age 16. So although he was born and trained in Russia, he left very early. The other ones, there's another one. Ivan Barbashev came to the Q at age 17, played for Moncton, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Second-round pick by the Blues, and now playing for Vegas. And so that's 3 guys who left before the age of 20 to come and play junior hockey here. So there's 7 left now on the list. And this is getting more and more interesting. There's Matei Michkov. Came at age 19, and let's say it was his 20-year-old season. So that's another guy who didn't play for long in Russia. Pavel Dorofeyev. You see, he played 72 games in the KHL, was a third-round pick. He arrived in America at age 21, which means that the last time he played in Russia was at age 20. So, we're still on track with that Sweden-Finland thing so far. Yeah. I'm just building it up, as you can see.
Oh, I know what's coming.
Oh, yeah. Pavel Buchnevich, 158 games in the KHL, third-round pick, but again, came to America at the age of 21. Last season in Russia, 20. Okay, how many more left? Kirill Marchenko.
Oh, interesting.
A second-round pick, 116 games in the KHL, came to America at age 22. So he's the first exception to the 21 and under rule. Last season played at 20. He played his last season at 21. He's the first exception in that triangle, Russia, Finland, and Sweden. Now, there's 2 more left. You know where I'm going. There's 3 more left, actually.
Yeah.
Dmitry Voronkov, 182 games in the KHL, fourth-round pick by Columbus, came to America at 23, doing very well.
Yeah.
Good player. Like Marchenko, they're both good players. They were good picks by Columbus when you think about it, although they had to wait for them a few years. Artemi Panarin.
There it is. Yep.
Undrafted. Played 263 games in the KHL. Age 24, signed by the Blackhawks.
Won the Rookie of the Year.
Why the heck didn't the Blackhawks hold on to him? I mean, he could have helped them continue, being a good team. They traded him for Brendan Saad a year later or 2. Look, maybe there was something going on that we don't know of, but who knows? Maybe he really wanted out. But this is a guy who came at age 24, and he went undrafted. So I have a take on this. When undrafted players or even drafted late round picks come to America at that age from Russia, and I'm being asked, what do you think? There was Tsiplakov in Islanders this year. Short guy, but, good player, skilled player. He's okay. I mean, he doesn't have great stats, but I watched him play because I watch the Islanders, as you know, with Matthew Schaefer. I watch him play. I think he's fine. So when people ask me, what do you think, especially for fantasy hockey, I'm not going to be as, let's say, bold about my predictions as I can be with Swedish and Finnish players. Because you don't know with these Russian guys. They can actually arrive at 23 or 24. Albeit these guys can be, they're the exceptions. Yeah, but there are not that many guys who come from Russia at that age. Because usually either they come early or there's like 50 players from Russia in the NHL right now, 50, 55. Either they come early or they don't come. It's rare that a guy after 5-6 years in the KHL will say, okay, I'm 25 years old now. Let's try the NHL. Like the guys I mentioned, Shipashev and Gusev. So they're unpredictable. They could be as good as Panarin or even Marchenko or Voronkov, or they can flop like Shipashev and Gusev. And there's no sign, there's no pattern. When you try and evaluate players and make predictions, you're trying to go with, okay, this is like this guy. This is like this guy. Oh, this guy reminds me of this guy. When I watch KHL players, I have no clue.
Yeah, that's it.
I have no clue if he's going to be good or not, because another factor that I heard a lot, because, in junior hockey, we have a lot of Russian players. Okay, they're younger, but in junior hockey, we'll have a lot of Russian players. A lot of them, or at least some of them, get homesick. And not just at the age of 17. Some do not adapt to being here. They want to go back home. They're not happy. They might not like the style of play of the NHL. And they have options because they can go back to a league which is, well established. And they pay good salaries, and you're playing at home.
That's it.
So to an extent, we can say the same thing about Swedish and Finnish players. But the KHL is a stronger league, let's face it. And they pay better salaries. So that's the thing why it's hard to predict. Now, the last one I want to talk about, who's the top Russian player right now in the NHL?
The highest paid player in the
NHL. Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah.
293 games in the KHL, or 5th round pick by Minnesota at age 18. It took 5 years to bring him over.
Yeah.
He came over at the age of 23. Now, let's go back to how he was. Kaprizov at age 17, I would say would probably not have been a high first round pick, even if he had played for London or Victoriaville or in the States.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably would have been a late first round pick at worst. He would have been a first round pick, but not a high first round pick. But then very quickly, we realized that he was going to be a very good player. Maybe not the highest paid player in the league at some point, but we realized he was going to be an excellent player. The problem is Minnesota, supposedly with Chuck Fletcher as the GM, did not really bother with him. I know that there was COVID. That didn't help, because they couldn't travel to Russia. But they did not even bother with him. And at some point, he wasn't too happy, and he re-signed in the KHL.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Minnesota wasn't paying attention to their jewel, their crown jewel. And at some point, he did come. Bill Guerin took over at GM, and the rest is history. But I think Kaprizov, he's another one who shows that, you can stay in the KHL for a few years, come to the NHL at 23 and dominate,
mm-hmm.
which you don't see with Swedish and Finnish players. So, he might be an exception, but still, I name 3 guys, Panarin, Voronkov, 4 guys, Marchenko and Kaprizov, who came over after the age of 21, who are really having a very good career in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As we predicted, the KHL is a very weird league, and the development path for KHL players is just all over the map.
It's all over the map. Yeah.
Take Ivan Demidov, for example. Right. I think he was more of a known commodity, right? He'd been dominating, junior ranks in Russia for quite some time. And we all knew he was going to be picked high and he was going to come over and dominate pretty much right away. And that's the case, right? But contrary to the other leagues, like you mentioned, Snake, there are quite a few of these exceptions past the age of 21 that can actually make the transition to the NHL and not only be impact players, but dominate and be the highest paid player in the league.
Because it doesn't change anything whether they stay or they come. I don't think Russian players have been hurt in their development by staying over there for a little while.
Yeah.
But again, it's I still think it's better to come over as soon as possible, because also if you, like LeBron James said 15 years ago, if you take your talents to somewhere to a National Hockey League team, the earlier the better. I mean, who wanted Ovechkin to stay in Russia till the age of 23? No one.
No.
He missed a year because of the lockout, remember? He missed his 19-year-old season because of the lockout. Well, you don't remember because you're 25, but he missed his first season because of the lockout.
5 years old when that happened.
Yeah. But anyway, he missed one season.
Yeah.
Could he have scored 1,000 goals if he had that season? And there was another lockout in 2012.
The COVID year.
And COVID years. I mean, Ovechkin would have been close to 1,000 goals.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So we want these guys over as soon as possible. And the Habs, they draft guys from Russia like most teams, but they do because the connection with Bobrov and everything. And again, I can't pass a judgment as easily, right or wrong, with these guys than with guys from other countries. Because and like the goalies were on Monday, we're talking about the goalie, the Habs drafted Loken. Who knows? But it's good. It's fine. And I like, as if I were a chief scout, if I'm going to take flyers on players, I'm going to take flyers on Russian players more than on Swedish and Finnish players. I'm not talking about the first round. You know, there are great players from Sweden and Finland in the NHL. You know, I'm not going to pass on Philip Forsberg. I had Philip Forsberg number 1 in 2012. You know, I'm not going to. Oh, you didn't know that? Okay, I had Philip Forsberg number 1.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, you look pretty good now.
Yeah, because I do think with Vasilevsky, he's the best player. And by the way, I had Vasilevsky at number 2. So that was a great year for me.
You hated
I had a terrible year in 2016, you know, with Patrick Laine at number 1 and Puljujarvi at number 3 and Tyson Jost at number 4.
Whoa.
Oh, only Uelevi at number 5.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but so did the NHL with Uelevi. But look,
that's fair.
That was a terrible year for me, 2016. But 2012 was a good year for me because I think I had Yakupov 5th after Galchenyuk. I didn't think Yakupov was going to bomb, but I just thought that there were better players. So I had Morgan Riley at 3. I had Vasilevsky at 2. I had Forsberg at 1 in 2012.
Wow.
So you look, all this to say that I don't shy away from Swedish players, but when it comes to the 5th or 6th round, if I'm not going to take a CHL player or an American player, give me a Russian player.
And Yakupov is actually a fun example here of a player who came to North America at a young age.
With Galchenyuk,
he played in the OHL.
Together. They were playing together,
and he played well in the OHL.
Yes,
and he failed. So it's just a crapshoot. You never know.
And Yakupov, a lot of people blamed his work ethic. You know, because there are preconceived ideas about Russian players, or they're lazy. You remember, you heard all this.
Oh yeah.
They march to the beat of their own drum. Blah blah blah. No, Yakupov was hardworking. He just did not work well. He didn't work well. Yeah. He was supposed to be on the right side of the ice. He was on the left side of the ice. He was supposed to come back to his to his own zone. He would just stay in the middle. He should have stayed in the middle. He was back in his own zone. The guy did not understand the game. And supposedly that he was a very good guy, a very nice person. And because there were rumors, you know, always difficult, blah, blah, blah. He's a Russian guy. No, he was a nice person. He had a good work ethic. Just didn't understand the game, unfortunately. He had a great shot. And in junior hockey, he got away with it. So, you know, Galchenyuk was a better player. But Galchenyuk, you know, there were other things with this guy.
Ooh, yeah. We're not going to get into that. Point, you know, the point is still made. And hey, look, he went back to the KHL and he's a Gagarin Cup champion now.
Yeah, good for him.
Good on him.
Yeah, he makes money. He makes a living out of it. He's home. But it was disappointing for the Edmonton Oilers because it probably took their rebuild back a few years. But would they have gotten Connor McDavid had Yakupov been a star? Probably not. Probably not. So, you know, it evens out. Well, evens out.
Once again,
I much prefer McDavid,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, once again, the Buffalo Sabres are just kicking themselves, right? Just, why not? Why not us? They were this close to having McDavid. Anyways, Snake, switching over, but staying in the KHL now. We're going to talk a little bit about this team and a prospect that's been doing quite well over there. Of course, we're talking about defenseman Bogdan Kanyushka. I had to do it. Listen, he's not bad. Like he's not bad. Good.
He's not bad.
He's actually pretty good. But again, he's one of those that's staying a long time in the KHL, right?
Yeah. Like I say, another one that sometimes I'm being asked, you know, what do you think of this guy? I don't know. He's not bad. He's not bad, but should he come to Laval at some point? Yes. But he's not coming to Laval.
Mm-hmm.
And the Habs, when it comes to defensemen, I mean, you never have enough good defensemen, but they're much deeper than they were 5 years ago or even 3 years ago.
Exactly. Well,
so will there be a spot for him? I do not know.
I don't think anybody knows really.
You never
Again,
know.
it kind of draws back to our discussion here. It's like these Russian players, and I mean, we didn't even talk about defensemen, but it's just so unpredictable. We don't know how it's going to pan out with the contracts and all of that stuff. It's really weird. But the guy, of course, we're going to talk about is the 2025 second round pick for the Montreal Canadiens, that being Alexander Zharovsky. And Snake, I feel like I need to change my costume here. I am now Alexander Zharovsky, who is on fire. He is on fire, people. 12 points in 12 games in the KHL for has he turned 19 yet? Is he still 18 years old?
He's still 18.
Ridiculous.
He's going to be 19 in 2026.
I don't own a UFA jersey, but you get the point. Alexander Zharovsky, listen, we're going to probably talk about him again on Monday, which is, our Habs day, if you will. But we had to discuss this because 12 points in 12 games for an 18-year-old is remarkable. Like, that is pretty significant. And again, we stress this every time we talk about this player. How is he getting his points? Right?
Yeah.
Are they lucky bounces? Is he just, is a shot deflecting off his knee and his teammate bounces it? No.
Nope.
He's earned his points. He is a difference maker. That's the big thing here.
I think all of his points were pretty much shown on the social media. So I think listeners must have seen some of them or all of them. But there are times when you watch him, he doesn't get the points, but he makes the same kind of plays. And there was one clip that we saw a few days ago. I mean, that shift.
Yeah.
Where he worked like crazy for probably 90 seconds.
Puck protection.
Amazing. Amazing how, what I liked about him last year when I first saw him is that although he was not a fast skater, he was a good enough skater, but not a super fast skater. What I loved about him is that he kept his feet moving all the time. Mm-hmm. And I know we make jokes about this, keep the feet moving, keep the feet moving. It's important. It's very important because when you keep your feet moving, you're always ready to go in one direction or the other. When you're just standing, well, first of all, you have to accelerate. It's like a car. If you're at, I don't know, riding at 50 kilometers an hour, it's going to be easier to go up to 100 than if you start from zero, even if you have a sports car. And I think that's what it is with this guy, with Zharovsky, is that he keeps his feet moving. He works hard. Those things are so easy to project in the NHL.
Translatable skills. Exactly.
Very, very translatable. And he has a good shot. He goes into the dangerous zones, like the slot. I know that there's a scout who told me recently, he watched him play and he said, well, the way he plays, he's on the board and he kind of needs someone with him, to make plays, and he's not like necessarily the driver of his own line. And okay, I understand the point. But I don't think it's a major issue because in Montreal, if he plays with Demidov or whoever he plays with, he won't have to do it.
No.
He won't have to be the driver. I think he can be, however, but I think he won't have to be. Now the question is, will he play at the on the wing or at center? He played at center. He played at center yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's tough on the draws though.
I haven't seen the game yet because there's a delay before we can have access to this. And by the way, there's one of the listeners, just a little quick parentheses, who asked how I can see the breakdown of shifts of players. Well, it's actually a software that is only accessible to media people and teams. So it's not something that a fan can subscribe to. And even if they wanted to, it is very, very expensive. It's a very expensive product. So anyway, all this to say that I'm going to watch his game where he played center yesterday. I'm curious to see. On Monday, we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll play another game at center this weekend. So I'm going to watch Zharovsky's games this week at center, and we'll see how he did, because it's not out of the question that he could play center.
Yeah.
Because it depends on Michael Cage. It depends on trades that the Habs could make.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe they get Sidney Crosby for 2-3 years. Who knows? No, it's been talked about. I mean, by serious reporters.
Penguins are doing pretty good, though.
Yeah, I know, but you know what, Shayne? It's not going to last.
Yeah.
They're
going to come back to
reality.
The
metrics are against them. I'm not a big metrics guy, but still, you have to take into consideration certain things. I think they're playing way above their head right now. There's a couple of teams right now. The Blackhawks also are playing way above their head. So I think
great goaltending, though. Spencer
Knight. Yeah, exactly. But that's included playing above your head, because you can have great goaltending, but are you going to have great goaltending for 82 games? It's impossible.
Yeah.
A guy who has a 935 percentage save percentage will not keep it all year. So we'll revisit Zharovsky.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I mean, I ranked him 17 pre-draft last year. And you know what? Right now, I'm thinking, oh, my God, I made a mistake.
Should have been higher.
It should have been higher. Probably that had he played junior hockey here, I would have ranked him higher. Yeah. But I based my evaluation on MHL, which is the Russian junior league, which is not a very strong league. And he played a little bit in the KHL after Christmas. He was good. But like you say, it's a mysterious league.
Oh my God, it's so unpredictable.
It's very unpredictable. Yeah. So even now this year, we're talking about the 2026 draft. There's 3 or 4 Swedish players who are going to be picked probably in the top 20. So hard to evaluate. I mean, give me a guy who plays in the Ontario Hockey League.
Every day.
I might be right. I might be wrong, but at least I will make a scouting. I will write a scouting report that I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm wrong at some point, I believe in it now. With Swedish players, except and you want to see them against North American players. I like Philip Forsberg when I saw him against North American players. But I also like Sebastian Kohlberg that year, by the way. I had Kohlberg at number 10. The Habs drafted him in the second round. I think he came to America a little bit. He was traded against with a second round pick against Thomas Vanek. Bergevin made that trade at some point at the trade deadline. Yeah, I think he played for the Islanders and they're on their farm team. He went back to Sweden. So that was a miss on my part in 2012. I had good calls, but I had that bad call. Yeah. And but I also had Alex Kerfoot in the first round. He was drafted in the 5th. That was a good one.
Yeah, he's pretty
good.
So
you see, it's you throw darts, really. You throw darts, and the important thing is that any NHL scout would tell you, you're hoping to get more hits than misses.
Yeah.
Or at least that the hits that you get are value picks.
That's it.
To me, value picks are very important. I mean, if you draft a guy like Zharovsky at 34, and he performs like, let's say, a top 15 pick, wow, that's a value pick. But if you pick a guy at number 5 and he's just an okay player, then you don't get a value pick. Like, let's say, Kotkaniemi. Kotkaniemi is an NHL player, okay? But he was not a value pick at 3. But maybe at 12, he would have been okay. Do you see my point? I mean, if we do a redraft, we could do a redraft of 2018 in a future show. Let's do this. True. Let's do this next Thursday. Let's do a 2018 redraft for fun.
I like that.
It's been 7 years now. Where does Kotkaniemi land based on what he's shown right now? He still lands probably, I would think, in the top 15, believe it or not. I think. But at number 3, he was not a value pick.
No, for sure. So, okay. Well, folks, I mean, you know what to do, right? Tune in next Thursday for our 2018 NHL redraft. This is going to be really fun.
And Monday we talk about Zharovsky at center.
Yeah. And I have more questions about Zharovsky, including his development path. Okay.
Good.
We'll hold off on those
Mm-hmm.
little tease for Monday. But Snake, before we move on, of course, gotta give some time and a big thank you to our partners who do make this show possible. Okay. We'll start off with our friends over at Cheapest T-Shirts. It's simple, okay? If you're looking for the cheapest prices on wholesale apparel in Canada, you will find them at cheapesttshirts.ca. They are proudly Canadian and trusted by thousands of customers from coast to coast. They deliver unbeatable value every day. You'll always get the cheapest prices plus same-day shipping and even next-day delivery, so your order arrives fast. They have over 1,000 products and more than 36 trusted brands like Gildan, Jerseys, American Apparel, MNO, and Comfort Colors. The selection is unmatched. Whether you're shopping for t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, hats, tote bags, polos, aprons, tank tops, and so much more, you will find it all in one place. Plus, enjoy free shipping on larger orders and a simple, easy-to-use website that makes online ordering a breeze. Get the cheapest deals in Canada today at cheapesttshirts.ca. Folks, I hope you put a few bucks on the Blue Jays, and if you did, well, that means you didn't select a bust with Betway. And that also means you could get a deposit match-up bonus up to $300 on your first deposit, okay? Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create a new account and redeem your welcome offer. Now, the offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. Snake, my background is very fitting because right now it is Snake's Hot Take. I look forward to this one every week, and you said you got a pretty good one today, so I am listening.
Well, I don't know if a lot of people or share this assessment that I have. Probably Toronto Maple Leafs fans don't. But, you know, we've been accustomed now to seeing the Leafs in the playoffs for 9 years, since 2016. When Matthews, Marner, Nylander arrived. And we've also been accustomed to seeing them being eliminated in round one.
Yearly tradition.
Yeah, yearly tradition. You look, they were kind of unlucky. They had Tampa Bay that they had to face. They faced Boston, you know, when they were red hot. So I do understand that perhaps the system, the playoff system, didn't work for them. Maybe they could have won an extra round, at least round one, you know, had it been like conference based, but they didn't win. Marner left. So I think the Stanley Cup ship has sailed for them, you know, at least for a little while. But my take of the week is that I watch them play, I look at the roster, and I look at who's, you know, the upcoming teams in the conference and in the division. I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year.
Wow.
I think it's going to be close, but I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
So
for the first time in 10 years.
Who makes it above them?
I don't know.
Okay. So you just they missed the cut.
Yeah, they missed the cut. Because, look, they're all bunched up together. And, you know, is it going to be Detroit? Is it going to be, you know, the Habs? Or what's going to happen with Florida and their injuries? But I just do think that in the Eastern Conference, 8 teams will finish above the Maple Leafs.
Interesting. Listen,
because the reason being, I know that Joel is on, well, not sick leave, but, you know, the
personal, he's
close to leave, and he's a good goalie.
Yeah,
but their defense is really like, oof. Their supporting cast is tougher than it used to be, but they're still not great. And they lost Mitch Marner. I mean, say what you will about Mitch Marner and his playoff performance over the last few years. But the idea now is to get to the playoffs. You lose a 100-point player for basically nothing. And it's rare that teams will lose, because look at the Avalanche. They were going to lose Rantanen. At least they traded him for Necas.
Mm-hmm.
Necas doing great, but I think anybody could do great with McKinnon. But still, and Necas is probably going to get a much higher paycheck now than he would have had he stayed in Carolina, because he's racking up points. But the idea with Toronto is that, the Marner is going to, and Austin Matthews, he's a fun goal scorer to watch. I mean, he's a big centerman, blah, blah, blah. I like him. But is he really the guy who's going to drive this team to the playoffs? He certainly hasn't driven them past the first round. And for those who watch, I know we have a big Habs audience. Habs fans are a big share of our audience. There's a couple of things I want to say. Okay? I do not hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay? No. I know that some Habs fans do. That's fine. It's part of it's the fun rivalry, They like the Blue Jays, but they don't like the Leafs. Anyway, even if it were like Columbus or Philadelphia, I would say the same thing. Okay? I watch hockey. I don't really care where teams play. I like good hockey teams. And honestly, in 2016, when they had Riley, Marner, Nylander, and Matthews, I thought they were going to win a Stanley Cup or two.
Yeah.
I said, okay, they're going to have to build their defense a little bit. They're going to have to get a goalie. But they had a very good basis, the way the San Jose Sharks do now. With Misa, Smith, Celebrini, Eklund. It's kind of similar. But the Sharks are going to have to avoid the mistakes that the Leafs did, which is basically have a very, very, very below average supporting cast and a below average defense. They made lots of moves over the years, but I can't say that. Kyle Dubas was given the keys to a Stanley Cup contender, basically. Well, he was given the elements to make the Leafs a Stanley Cup contender. He failed. I mean,
pretty simple.
He found a job in Pittsburgh. I mean, good for him. But I mean, and it's very well paid, by the way. If you saw the contract a few years ago that he signed, it's very well paid. I mean, good for him. Nothing against the guy, but I don't think he did a very good job in Toronto. Lamoriello did not do a good job. And Brendan Shanahan was at the top of the pyramid. And I think, at the end, it was his responsibility. And that's why the owners let him go last year. So I do understand the circumstances. But in 9 years, how many times did they go past the first round? One or two?
Twice. Against Tampa and against Ottawa. Okay.
They should have been in the Habs in 2021. Really.
Yeah, but it choked.
Well,
it choked.
Galchenyuk. He made.
The great pass to Suzuki.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they were still teammates, my friend Suzuki. No, but look, in all seriousness, why did they sign Galchenyuk? And I'm not just basing it. It's just a symptom. I think it's not just that play, but it's the fact that Toronto, they were just signing veterans here and there, not really knowing if they were a good fit. Because remember, when you have these stars, you have to assemble a team, not just a collection of players. And I think in Montreal, what they're trying to do right now, they're trying to find fits. And I'm going to have a discussion with Tony this afternoon on the Sick Podcast tonight, those who want to watch, about Slav and Logan Cooley.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about fit. Because I have a take on this. Because I know that some people are wondering, they should have taken Cooley. He's a better scorer, blah, blah, blah. Well, by the way, he's earning $2.5 million more, which is not to be ignored.
Exactly.
Because contracts and players, you can't really, they come together now. We're talking about value picks. Let's talk about value contracts.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a 4 million guy giving you 50 points or a 10 million guy giving you 65? because with the $6 million, you can sign another player. So I think in Toronto, it was very, very mismanaged. Dubas also with the contracts that he gave a lot of money to Matthews and Marner early in their career, where he didn't have a gun to his head to do it. They were restricted free agents. And you know what? If someone else gave them money, then you match. Or you take the four first-round picks. Not necessarily a good idea, but still. So I do think that it's the end of the road for the Leafs. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. And they're going to have... And remember that Patrick Marleau contract they had to get rid of?
Oh.
Okay, they had to give the 13th pick overall to Carolina. And Carolina drafted, drum roll, Jarvis. Not saying the Leafs would have drafted him, but still, that's what the 13th pick could have been worth. So the Marleau signing, I understand for a year. You know, you get a veteran and a 38-year-old guy. I think he had one pretty good season, but then the second season was a mess, and they had to buy him out. But no, they had to pay Carolina to buy him out.
Yeah,
because they didn't have the cap room to do it. So look, that's what it is. So it sucks for Toronto fans, but at least they have the Blue Jays now, and the Raptors won a championship a few years ago.
Yeah.
But if you had told me, I don't know, but when we're recording, it's 3-2 Blue Jays. Okay, let's say they win the World Series. Okay, let's say they win. You never know with the Dodgers, but let's say they win. If someone had told me in 2016, Toronto-based teams are going to win 2 championships in the next 10 years, I would have said, 2 cups for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Because the Raptors were a little bit of a surprise, if you remember. They beat Golden State and, you know.
Kawhi Leonard, baby.
What?
Kawhi Leonard, but in 2016, he wasn't there, you know. So it would have been hard to predict. And the Blue Jays, you know, Alex Anthopoulos had left. They were not very good for many, many years. And this Cinderella season. So, 10 years ago, I would have said Leafs win 2 cups. Now I'm saying Leafs miss the playoffs. We can go back, and that could be a show in and of itself of just going back and analyzing the Leafs' mistakes that have led to this. But, you know, they did make some really good decisions as well that have made them a perennial, you know, playoff team. But you're saying even that's over this year. Listen, they have the talent. They have the roster. Snake, if I were to give you a reason, I think it's culture. I really think it's culture.
Shayne, personally, do you think the Leafs are going to make the playoffs?
They got pumped by Columbus 6-2 yesterday. Like, that is not exactly 6-2, 6-3, whatever it was.
6-3, yeah. 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3. Listen, it's one game, right? And I know Austin Matthews has a slow start to the year to his standards. And people are saying, okay, they're built for the playoffs now. They've got more toughness. Guess what?
You
if
have
you don't
to get
make
there.
The playoffs, you're not built for the playoffs.
Exactly.
So I really don't like their decor. I think there's absolutely no offense that comes out of there. You know, Morgan Riley can chip in. I guess Oliver Ekman-Larsson a little bit, but there's nothing coming out of the back end. Goaltending is fine. Anthony Stolarz is good, right? But the depth, I'm not a fan of. I don't know. It's going to be. I think it's going to actually be really tight.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to run away with it.
Very tight.
They could squeeze in, but you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if they missed. I wouldn't be shocked. So that's a educated hot take as per usual.
We'll revisit in April. And we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Last segment of the show here. Let's go digging in the mailbag. As always, we take your questions and we answer one per show. And this one today comes from our buddy Stefan or Steven. I don't know if he's related to Nikola Vukovic from the NBA, but if he is, that's pretty cool. Anyways, I digress. The question here is to you, Snake, about Hayden Papanekas and why he was drafted 69th. Now, he's asking also, kind of relating it to Jamie Benn, who was drafted in the round. He says, I'm not comparing him to Ben. I'm just wondering how and why Ben dropped to the 5th round. Now, obviously, Jamie Benn turned out to be a pretty damn good player, captain of the Dallas Stars. where's the correlation here? What do you think about the question?
Well, first of all, I'm going to answer the Papanekis question, and it's very simple. Why he was drafted in the third round instead of perhaps the second round, I think, is the effort level. He has to show more effort. He has to be more consistent. Otherwise, he probably would have been an early second-round pick based on his talent, his size, and his skating. But you watch him sometimes, and you feel like he's just like he doesn't care. It could be his nature. It could be the way he's always played hockey. I don't know. But that would explain why he was chosen 69 and not 39th, let's say. Now, for Jamie Benn, lots of stories have been told about the fact that he was drafted so late. And remember, we're talking 2007. 2007, the hockey world in 2007 and 2025, I mean, it's like 100 years ago. So there were three factors that I was told could have influenced the fact that he was drafted late. The first one was his skating. His skating was really bad. Mark Stone bad. And I'm talking Mark Stone in the WHL. Yeah. It was really bad, first of all. Second of all, actually, there are four factors. Second of all, he played in the BCHL, which is a junior A hockey league. And I know that over the years, there were some players who were drafted very high from the BCHL. You remember Kyle Turris, who was played number 3 by Arizona? Yeah. Tyson Jones was taken number 10. Cale Makar was picked at number 4. He wasn't playing in the BCHL, he was playing junior A hockey in Alberta. So over the years, there were some good players coming out of this. But in 2007, if you did not dominate, if you did not get 150 points or 120 points, you were not going to be noticed because, look, it's junior A hockey. Why aren't you in the WHL? Yeah. So that's another reason. Another reason was he was playing for Victoria. And there was supposedly, it was hard to go to Victoria to see hockey. I think you had to take a ferry boat or something. Anyway, it was not convenient for scouts. So scouts didn't go. Okay, mind you, they could have seen him when he was playing road games. But again, he was not necessarily worth seeing based on his skating and his profile. That wasn't a fit. There's something else I heard, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to mention it, but I'm not sure. Like, he was undersized, and then at some point he had a growth spurt. But that I'm not sure. But this is something I heard, but I have no confirmation of that. And finally, he was a great baseball player. Oh, okay. And there were some people in the hockey world who thought he was going to become a baseball player. The way Mason West, who was drafted this year, is a quarterback. Yep. So he kind of committed to hockey, but he's still playing football, I think. Yeah. So those were a bunch of reasons. And at some point, Dallas took a flyer on him. And, he became Jamie Benn, Artros trophy winner. I liked him a lot. To be honest with you, in 2007, I couldn't watch BCHL games. So I all I knew of him was his stats. Mm-hmm. So I can't tell you if I would have liked him or not. But I'm just telling you what I heard about why he was drafted so late. I think less and less you're going to see stories like these because teams have scouts and insiders everywhere, about telling them about that player and that player and that player. So watch for this player, because although a scouting staff can be made of, 15 scouts, we obviously know that they have a lot of insiders giving them hints about, coaches, because it's a small world. So very often a GM or a scout will be connected with this coach and that GM in that league. And you're always going to be tipped about good players. So nowadays, I think the Jamie Benns are going to be, it's not going to happen again. But again, did it happen as much as it did? Mark Stone, I mean, he was a well-known commodity playing the WHL. You know, he just couldn't skate.
Look at him now.
Look at him now.
Look at him now. Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
These things happen. This is part of the scouting job. And one thing is sure is that, I'm going to conclude on this. Sometimes we wonder, why didn't this chief scout get fired before? Because he made terrible picks. Well, I think the reason why they don't get fired is because sometimes the bad pick are circumstantial, in the sense that you have a list. Your GM, your owner, your colleagues, they know your list. But sometimes you have 10 good picks, but let's say you pick 8, and the next name on your list turns out to be bad. A bomb. But the other 9 picks were good. It doesn't mean you're a bad scout. It just means that the next guy on your list, when it came time to pick, wasn't good. There's a little bit of luck involved, or bad luck involved.
Always.
Look,
Always.
if Columbus takes Demidov,
Yeah.
who do the Habs take?
Probably Lindstrom.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. But let's say it's Lindstrom. Fans would be fuming right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking anything away from the Habs. That's not the point. But these things happen. But Chicago, if they take Levshunov and Demidov becomes a 100-point player, well, then if I'm the owner, I'm going to have a talk with my staff.
Yeah.
What the hell were you thinking? I think Levshunov is going to be fine, but to me, he was not worthy of the second-round pick.
No.
Of the second overall pick.
Yeah.
Second overall. So that's draft stories, that there are some books that exist about, draft stories. And one day on the show, I'll recommend a couple of them. And there are insights. The only problem is most people involved will only talk 10 years after they retired.
Snake, I believe Mathias Brunet might have a book about that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. He has a brand new book out, Histoire de repêchage. He has 20 stories about the draft. Old stories, new stories, Kent Hughes, Vincent Lecavalier, Yaroslav Slavkovsky, Mario Lemieux. He has tons of stories. I notice, I've been following junior hockey for 51 years. And believe it or not, when I read the book, there's tons of things that I learned that I had never heard of. Because now people can talk.
Yeah.
So for anyone who reads French and who likes draft stories, I know that some of our listeners, obviously, if they're listening to Trust the Process, they like draft stories. I really recommend the book, Histoire de repêchage, Mathias Brunet.
Absolutely. And folks,
and by the way, we it wasn't planned to talk about the book. If anyone thinks that we're just trying to,
I just made the connection there.
Yeah, because there are other books. Draft Day by Doug MacLean, by the way. I strongly recommend. Doug MacLean, who used to be the GM for Columbus and commentator on Sportsnet. Draft Day, Doug MacLean. I also recommend. That's in English, obviously.
Very good. Very good. Well, folks, that'll do it for our show today. But if you want more Snake, you can get more Snake at the Sick Podcast tonight with Tony Marinaro. He'll be joining him, and you can catch him as well in French. How often are you on this French show?
Every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. On YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Mathias et le Serpent. Approximately 1 hour with Mathias, Brunet, and Pag. Talking about prospects, Habs, NHL in general, all kinds of hockey-related topics, and a lot of draft and prospect content.
There you have it, folks. So you can get your Snake fix all week long, and we hope you keep tuning into this show. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you're notified when we upload our new episode on Monday. Make sure you tune in for that one because we're going to keep going on the Zharovsky discussion. Maybe a few more Habs prospects. Why not? So, Snake, anything else to add before we get out of here?
Have a great weekend and enjoy the baseball games.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Stay dry because it's going to be a wet one. So, For Samian and Yellow back at Master Control, I'm producer Shayne, a.k.a. Jakub Dobesh, a.k.a. Alexander Zharovsky. I don't know. I changed costumes a bit today. It's our show. We make the rules. Simon the Snake Boisvert. This has been another edition of the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. We'll see you Monday.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Trust the Process on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.